Shavua Tov Mavrach. Mishnah Yomi is continuing in Shekalim, Perek Ches, chapter 8, Mishnah Bet. Now, yesterday we talked about spit in Yerushalayim, and when it is tahor or not. Now, Mishnah Bet, Kol Kalim, any utensils, your bowls, forks, knives, Hanimtsoin, Yerushalayim, in Yerushalayim, Derech Yerida, Leveit Tefillah, Tmein. If they're going down to the mikveh, Beit Tefillah means the house of Tefillah. If they're going down there, Tameh. Derech Aliyah Tehurin. But going up is Tahor. And the Mishnah explains how this could be. Shalo b'derech yerdatan aliyatan. This means the way down to the mikveh was separate from the way up to the mikveh. Or perhaps they had the same stairway, but there was a divider, like a railing, down the middle of the stairway. So the idea is people holding Tameh stuff wouldn't bump into the people with the Tahor stuff and mess it up. Divrei Rebbe Meir. This is all according to Rebbe Meir. Rabbi Yossi says we're not quite as worried. He says Kulan Tahurin. Everything is assumed Tahor, even if you found it on the steps leading down to the mikveh, which is, sounds pretty Talmudic. But everything you can assume is Tahor in Yerushalayim because people were careful generally in Yerushalayim to keep things Tahor. Chutz, except Min Hasol, but not a basket. Hamagrefa, a rake. Hamritza, a spade, hamiyochatim lekvarot, that are designated or made for graves. So this is not a regular run-of-the-mill basket. This is a basket that's made for digging up bones or moving bones. Sometimes their minhag was to inter bones and then reinter them in the family burial plots, and the rake for gathering bones. You understand if there's a made mitzvah. We've had Gemaras in Pesachim about if there was a field and a corpse was plowed into the field and there's bone fragments, you got to rake up all the bone fragments. And, of course, a shovel that you use for digging graves, it's going to get tamei from the grave. So these things that are kever related, we assume they're typically, practically always tamei, and people probably never took them to the mikveh because you're not going to, serve salad with the same shovel that you use for digging graves. So we assume they're tamei, but according to Yossi, everything else is kept tahor. Now, Mishnah Gimel brings a related case, sakin, a knife. And this is a knife that is used for shechita. It's a shechita knife, shenimtzait b'arba'asar. And you find it on the 14th. This is the famous 14th from Masechet Pesachim. This is Erev Pesach. So if you find a shechting knife, Erev Pesach, in Yerushalayim, shochet ba miyad, you can use it to slaughter your carbon Pesach. The idea is that Erev Pesach, everyone is very careful to keep themselves and their ritual knives and kelim tahor, because they need it to be tahor to enjoy their carbon pesach b'tahara. B'shlosh asar, but on the 13th, the day before, shone umatbil, you have to go back and tovel it, because maybe this knife isn't tahor yet. After all, it's Erev Pesach, there's still time, so maybe the person who dropped this knife didn't get around to making it tahor yet. The kofitz, now the cleaver, Bain bezei uvein bezei shona imapil. Whether it's the 13th or the 14th of Nisan, you have to go back and tovel it again. The difference here is a cleaver is used for chopping through bones. And as we learned in Pesachim, a carbon Pesach, we do not break the bones. That is also deraisa, we don't break the bones of carbon Pesach. However, you could chop up the chagiga. So, in theory, you might need a tahor cleaver to chop up your carbon chagiga and serve it at your Pesach Seder, but you don't need it for your carbon Pesach. So people might, if you have enough meat from your carbon Pesach, you didn't really need the carbon chagiga, so people wouldn't necessarily be careful to get their cleaver tahor Erev Pesach or Erev Pesach, so you have to make sure that's tahor if you want to use it on your carbon chagiga. Now the Mishnah goes on, Hal arba asar liyot b'Shabbat. If Erev Pesach is on Shabbat, shochet ba miyad, you can use this knife immediately, or this cleaver immediately, because they were going to use it right after Shabbos to cut up their chagiga and eat it with their carbon Pesach. They would probably careful Erev Pesach, which was Erev Shabbos, to make sure it was tahor. B'chamisha asar, if it's on the 15th of Nisan, shochet ba miyad, you can use it right away. We can assume they put it in the mikveh before Yom Tov. Nimset kishur lasakin, if the cleaver and the sakin come as a set, and they're tied together or bundled together in the same package, connected, hareze kasakin. Then we give the cleaver the same halacha as the sakin. We assume it's tahor on Erev Pesach, but not necessarily on Erev Pesach. But we say if someone's going to get their knife for slaughtering tahor, they're going to get their cleaver tahor also if they come as a packaged set. Yashar koach and Shavua Tov.